I'm going to talk a little bit about Greenland and about the current situation. I'm not going to go into the whole political analysis and talk about what's wrong and what's bad and so on. In my personal opinion, the Greenlanders themselves should choose whether they want to belong to the United States or Denmark. Not Denmark, not the United States, but the Greenlanders should decide. So they should have a national vote, and if the majority decides America, then they should belong to America. If the majority decides NATO and Denmark, then they should belong to NATO and Denmark. That's my take on it. That's my political take. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, let's talk about a simple fact. Or perhaps not. Well, actually, it is a fact. Nobody, well, I'm not going to say nobody, but very few people were talking about safety in the Arctic sphere and the northern territories as much as they're doing now before Trump started talking about Greenland and about safety. I mean, when was the last time you heard anybody talk about Greenland before Trump started talking about safety in the north? Hardly anybody. I bet you most people couldn't even point out Greenland on a map. Literally. I'm not joking. Even in my country, people didn't really pay much attention to the north before Trump started talking about Greenland, which is just my point here. When it comes to persuasion and power and influence, this guy Trump is unmatched. Everything he says, people are starting to talk and discuss about. Yeah, you can argue in favor of or against Trump. That's fine. That's not my intention here. I don't really care. Because I'm working actually on becoming apolitical, because I'm so sick and tired of this whole debacle and shenanigan and this circus that is politics. They're all liars and crooks. All of them. Anyway. Getting back to the point here. With respect to persuasion and influence, if you want real influence and if you want real persuasion, you also need to position yourself good and well. That's what Ken McCarthy taught me with respect to marketing and so on, and also persuasion. Why is McDonald's so popular? Why are they still in business if they're selling crap food? Same for Starbucks. Same for Burger King. Same for, I don't know, pick your fast food brand, Subway. They're all American brands. That's fine. And no, this has got nothing to do with America. But it has to do a little bit with America and being American, because they know how to position themselves. They know how to influence themselves. And they know how to sell. So my point is, how can you position yourself likewise? Let's take another example. Another big company, Spotify. They're Swedish. IKEA is Swedish as well. And these are two big famous Swedish brands, Swedish companies that have literally positioned themselves across the entire globe. And so what IKEA does with regards to furniture and interior design matters. What Spotify does with respect to streaming, whether it's podcasts or songs. I don't know if Spotify streams shows. I don't think they do, but whatever. If they choose to, they probably have a say. Then that matters too. Same goes for Netflix, Grok, Tesla, Apple, all these companies, and Trump. The point is simple. Position yourself properly and become the authority and the voice and the face of what you're promoting. And the world's literally at your fingertips. Think about it. That's the way to properly influence your business. Nobody cares about some rival company of Spotify. Maybe they can even offer better services and so on, but Spotify is so big. Yeah, Spotify's been around, and they did groundbreaking work back in the day. I remember it because I've been using Spotify since 2008, which is 19, excuse me, not 19, 18 years as of this year. I started using Spotify in, I think it was around springtime of 2008, way back in the day, before actually people have been born in the Spotify era, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. Anyway, the point is, with respect to Greenland and Spotify and IKEA and Subway, whatever burgers and fast food chains and music and global power, positioning is what you should be aiming for, because a better positioning means better persuasion. Just think about it. And let that be the persuasion lesson of the day, or of this video. If you want to learn more, then get subscribed to my email list. The link to do so is in the episode description wherever you're watching and or listening to this, and I'll see you there.